Ram to everyone. Chapter 27 Favor sown by giving Bhagavad and Vishnu Sahasranam. Dixit's Visions. Gita Rahasya Khapardes. This chapter describes how Sai Baba favored his devotees by granting them religious books after he had touched and consecrated them for Parayan, reading regularly, and certain other matters. Preliminary. When a man takes plunge into sea, he gets the merit of bathing in all tirthas and sacred rivers. Similarly, when a man takes refuge at the feet of the Sadguru, he gets the merit of bowing to the Trinity. Therefore, Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh, and also Parabrahma. Victory be unto Sri Sai, the wish-fulfilling tree, and the ocean of knowledge, who gives us self-realization. O Sai, create in us reverence for your stories. Let the reader and audience devour them with the same relish with which the chatak bird drinks the water from the clouds and becomes happy. While listening to your stories, let them and their families get all the true and pious emotions. Let their bodies perspire. Let their eyes be full of tears. Let their breath be steady. Let their mind be composed. Let their hair stand on the end. Let them cry, sob, and quiver. Let their hostilities vanish. When these things happen, that is a sign of grace of the Guru drawing upon them. When this emotion grow in you, the Guru is most pleased and will certainly lead you on the path of self-realization. The best way, therefore, to get free from shackles of Maya is our complete and wholehearted surrender to Baba. The Vedas cannot take you across the ocean of Maya. It is only the Sadguru who can do so and make you see the God in all creatures. Granting consecrated book. The various methods of imparting instruction followed by Baba have already been noticed in the previous chapters. In this, we shall deal with all aspects of it. It was the habit of some devotees to take to Baba some religious books, of which they wanted to make a special study and to receive the same back from him after they were touched and consecrated by him. While reading such book daily, they felt that Baba was with them. Once Kaka Mahajani came to CD with a copy of Eknathi Bhagwat. Sama took this book to read in the masjid. There Baba took it from him, touched it, and turning some page here and then, gave it back to Shama and asked him to keep it with him. When Shama said that it belonged to Kaka and had to be returned to him, No, replied Kaka, as I have given it to you, you better keep it. It will be of use to you. In this way, many books were entrusted to Shama. Kaka Mahajani, after a few days, come again with another copy of the same Bhagavad and gave it in Baba's hand. Then Baba gave it back as a prasad and asked him to preserve it well and assure him that it would stand him in good stead. Kaka accepted with reverence. Shama and Vishnu Sahasranam. Sama was a very intimate devotee of Baba, and Baba wanted to favor him in a particular way by giving him a copy of Vishnu Sahasranam as a prasad. This was done in following way. Once a Ramdasi, follower of the Sant Ramdas, was to Shirdi and stayed there for some time. The routine he followed daily was as follows. He got up early in the morning, washed his face, bathed, and then after wearing saffron-colored clothes and besmearing himself with sacred ashes, read Vishnu Sahasranam, a book giving 1,000 names in praise of Vishnu, and held second in importance to Bhagavad Gita and Adhyatma Ramayana, esoteric version of Rama's story, with faith. He read this book very often. After some days, Baba thought of favoring and initiating Shama with Vishnu Sahasranam. He therefore called the Ramdasi to him and said to him that he was suffering from intense stomach pain, and unless he took Sonamukhi, a mild purgative drug, the pain would not stop. So he should please go to the bazaar market and bring the drug. The Ramdasi closed his book and went to the bazaar. Then Baba came from his seat to Ramdasi's place of reading and took out the copy of Vishnu Sahasranam, and after coming back to his seat said to Sama, Sama, this book is very valuable and efficacious, so I present it to you. You read it. Once I suffered intensely and my heart began to palpitate and my life was in danger. At that critical moment, I hugged this book to my heart, and then Shama, what a relief it gave me. I thought that Allah Himself come down and save me. So I gave this to you. Read it slowly, little by little. Read daily one name at least, and it will do you good. Shama replied that he did not want it, and that the owner of it, the Ramdasi, who was a bad-tempered, obstinate and irritable fellow, would certainly pick up a quarrel with him, and besides being rusting himself, he could not read distinctly the Sanskrit Devanagari script text of the book. Sama thought that Baba wanted to set him up against Ramdasi by this act of his, but he had no idea that Baba felt for him. Baba must have thought to tie this necklace of Vishnu Sahasranam round the neck of Shama, as he was an intimate devotee, though a rustic, and thus save him from miseries of worldly existence. The efficacy of God's name is well known. It saves us from all sins and bad tendencies, frees us from the cycle of birth and death. There is no easier sadhana than this. It is the bare best. It is the best purifier of our mind. It requires no paraphernalia and no restrictions. It is so easy and so effective. This sadhana Baba wanted Shama to practice, though he did not crave for it. So Baba forced this on him. It is also reported that long ago Eknath Maharaj similarly forced this Vishnu Sahasranam on a poor Brahmin neighbor and thus saved him. The reading and study of this Vishnu Sahasranam is a broad, open way of purifying the mind, and hence Baba trusts this on his devotee Shama. The Ramdasi returned soon with the Sonapurs. Anna Chichnikar, who was then present and wanted to play part of the Narad, the celestial rishi, who was well known for setting up confrontation between God and demons and vice versa, informed him of what had happened. Ramdasi at once fled up. He came down at once on Shama with full fury. He said that it was Shama who said Baba to send him away, and under the pretext of stomach ache for bringing the medicine, and thus took away the book. He began to scold and abuse the Shama and remark that if book was not returned, he would dash his head. Shama calmly remonstrated with him, but in vain. Then Baba spoke kindly to him as follows: "O Ramdasi, what is the matter with you? Why are you so turbulent? Is not Shama our boy? Why do you scold him unnecessarily? How is it that you are so quarrelsome? Can you not speak soft and tender words? You read these sacred books daily, and still your mind is agitated and your passions uncontrolled. What sort of Ramdasi are you? You ought to be indifferent to all things. Is it not strange that you should possess this book so strongly? A true Ramdasi should have no mamta, attachment, but have shamta, equality towards all. You are now quarrelling with Swama for mere book. Go and take your seat. Books can be had in plenty with money, but not man. Think well and be considerate. What worth is your book? Shama had no concern with it. I took it up myself and gave it to him. You know it by heart. I thought Shama might read it and benefit thereby, and so I gave it to him." How sweet were these words of Baba, soft, tender, and nectar-like. Their effect was wonderful. Ramdasi claimed down and said to Shama that he would take Pancharatni Gita in return. Shama was much pleased and said, "Why one? I shall give 10 copies in return." So the matter was ultimately settled. The question for consideration is, why should the Ramdasi praise for Pancharatna Gita, a book for which he never cared to know? And why should he, who daily read religious books in the masjid in front of Baba, quarrel with Swama before him? We do not know how to apportion the blame and whom to blame. We only say that had these incidents not happened, the importance of the subject, the efficacy of God's name, and the significance of Vishnu Sahasranam would have been brought home to Shama. So we see that Baba's method of teaching and initiating was unique. In this case, Shama did gradually study the book and mastered its content to such an extent that he was able to explain it to Professor G.G. Narke, M.A. of the College of Engineering, Pune, the son-in-law of Sriman Beauty and devotee of Baba. Vitthal Vision. One day, while Kakasaheb Dixit was in meditation, after his morning bath in his vada at Shirdi, he saw a vision of Vitthal. When he went to see Baba afterward, Baba asked him, "Did Vitthal Patil came? Did you not see him? He is very elusive. Hold him fast, otherwise he will give you the slip and run away." Then at noon, a certain hawker come there with 20 or 25 picture of Vitthal of Pandharpur for sale. Mr. Dixit was surprised to see that the form of Vitthal he saw in his meditation exactly tallied with that in the picture. He was also reminded of Baba's word. He therefore bought one picture most willingly and kept it in his sitting for worship. Gita Rahasya. Baba always loved those who studied Brahma Vidya and encouraged them. To give an instance, once Bapu Saheb Jog received a post parcel. It contained a copy of Gita Rahasya by Lokmanya Tilak. Taking it under his armpit, he came to the masjid and prostrate before Baba. When the parcel fell at Baba's feet, Baba inquired what it was. It was opened then and there, and the book was placed in Baba's hand. Baba turned some pages here and there for a few minutes and took out a rupee from his pocket and placed it on the book and handed the same with the rupee to Jog and said to him, "Read this completely and you will be benefited." Mr. and Mrs. Khapade. Let us close this chapter with the description of Khapades. Once Dada Saheb Khapade come with his family and lived in Shirdi for some months. The diary of his stay has been published in English in the Sri Sai Leela magazine, 1 volume. Dada Saheb was not ordinary man. He was the affluent and the most famous advocate of Amravati and was a member of Council of State Delhi. He was intelligent and a very good speaker. Still he dared not to open his mouth before Baba. The most devotees spoke and argued with Baba off and on, but only 3, Khapade, Nulkar and Booty, kept always silent. They were meek, modest, humble and good-natured. Dada Saheb, who was able to expound Panchadarshi, well-known Sanskrit treatise on the Advaita philosophy by the famous Vidyarana, to others, uttered no word when he came to the masjid before Baba. A man, however learned, he may be even in Vedas, fades away before the one who has realized Brahma and become one with it. Learning cannot stand before self-realization. Dada Saheb stayed for 4 months, but Mrs. Khapade stayed for 7 months. Both were highly pleased with their Shirdi stay. Mrs. Khapade was faithful and devout and loved Baba deeply. Every noon she brought Nevaidya herself to the masjid, and after it was accepted by Baba, she used to return and take her meal. On seeing her steady and firm devotion, Baba wanted to exhibit it to others. One noon she brought a dish containing sanza, wheat pudding, puris, rice, soup and kheer, sweet rice, and other sundry articles to the masjid. Baba, who usually waited for hours, got up at once, went up to his seat and removing the cover from dish, and began to partake of the things zealously. Shama then asked him, "Why this partiality? At times you throw away dishes of others and do not care to look at them, but this appeals to you earnestly. Why is the dish brought by this lady so sweet? This intrigues us." Baba then explained, "This food is really extraordinary. In former birth, this lady was a merchant's fat cow, yielding much milk. Then she disappeared and took birth in gardener's family, then in Kshatriya family, and married to merchant. Then she was born in Brahmin's family. I saw her after very long time. Let me take some sweet morsel of love from her dish." After saying this, Baba did full justice to her dish, washed his mouth and hands, blessed out as he was fully satisfied, and resumed his seat. Then she bowed down and began to shampoo Baba's leg, and he began to talk with her and knead her arm, which were shampooing Baba's leg. On seeing this reciprocal arm, which were shampooing, on seeing this reciprocal service, Shama began to joke and said, "It is going on well. It is a wonderful sight to see God and his bhakta serving each other." After being pleased with her sincere service, Baba asked her in low and fascinating tone to chant Raja Ram, then and always, and said, "If you do this, your life's object will be achieved, your mind will attain peace, and you will be immensely benefited." To persons unfamiliar with spiritual matter, this might appear as a polite gesture, but really it was not so. It was a case of what is technically called Shaktipat, therefore transference of power from Guru to the discipline. How effectively were Baba's words! In an instant they pierced her heart and remained there. This case illustrates the nature of the relations that should subsist between Guru and discipline. Both should love and serve each other as one. There is no distinction nor any difference between them. Both are one, and one cannot live without the other. The discipline placing his head at Guru's feet, his gross or outward vision. Really and internally, they are both one and the same. Those who see any difference between them are yet unripe and not perfect. Bow to Sri Sai. Bow to Sri Sai. Peace be to all. Thank you, Sai Baba, for giving me such a nice opportunity. श्री सच्चिदानंद सद्गुरु साईनाथ महाराज की।